Jake Paul is famous and rich, but it's hard to describe why. The Viner turned Disney star turned YouTuber turned rapper turned pro boxer is as multifaceted as he is controversial. Although many people dislike him, his name still holds a certain notoriety in the YouTube community, somehow becoming popular for being unpopular. This tactic is working for him, with his most recent boxing match reportedly bringing in 1.5 million paying viewers. And I mean, you clicked on this video, so you can't really judge. Recently, Jake has made headlines for defeating Ben Askren, a retired UFC fighter, in a boxing match, and is looking to fight Tyron Woodley, another MMA fighter, next. But how did we get here? It feels like 6 months ago, Jake Paul was on a Disney show, and now he spends his time boxing and insulting Connor McGregor's wife. Truly, we're living in the darkest timeline. The beginning. Vine. Jake Paul began his career on Vine, an app which allowed you to post looping 6-second clips. With the help of his older brother, Logan, Jake developed his attention-grabbing, enthusiastic style on this platform, netting him a total of 5.3 million Vine followers before the app was shut down in 2016. The end of the app was by no means the end of Jake Paul, however. Disney Channel Misadventures. In the same year as the collapse of Vine, Jake Paul found work on the Disney Channel show Bizaardvark. From what I gather, Bizaardvark is a show about creators making funny videos and songs and then uploading them to their online channel. Jake Paul's character was a daredevil named Dirk Mann who posted videos on his channel, Dare Me Bro. Pretty creative casting here from Disney. If the character was any more like Jake Paul, he could sue for identity theft. Right, what you know, I guess. Unfortunately, Jake's career with Disney was short-lived. Soon after, some controversial new videos surfaced of Jake, and he and Disney decided to part ways. YouTube. Jake Paul started his YouTube channel in 2013, and grew it while on Vine and working with Disney as a very successful 8 million subscriber side project. He also had his own YouTube group known as Team 10, which started in 2016. So, when he decided, mutually, to part ways with Disney, his next move was a no-brainer. He doubled down on the content-producing side, creating memorable videos and boosting notable creators through Team 10, such as the Dobre brothers, who now have over 23 million subscribers. Jake was carving out a space for himself on YouTube as the brash but successful young creator, causing chaos in Hollywood. Jake also began releasing his own music in 2017, with his most famous track, It's Every Day, Bro, being a consistent meme which still lives on to this day. How could a track with such poetic and insightful lines as England is my city and Yeah, I smell good ever be forgotten? Over the next couple of years, Jake began to settle into this internet persona, creating fast-paced and entertaining daily vlogs along with some other music, such as a diss track on teachers. Like, just teachers in general. Boxing. After inflicting significant brain damage on his viewers for half a decade, it seems like poetic justice that Jake would put his own cranium on the line through the sport of boxing. In 2018, a YouTuber called KSI, hailing from England, fought another English YouTuber called Joe Weller and, after defeating him, decided to call out Jake Paul, Logan Paul, any of the Pauls, for another boxing match.
Jake Paul, Logan Paul, any of the Pauls, I don't care. Bring it.
Although it was Logan who took the mantle of fighting KSI in the boxing match, Jake was set to fight Deji, KSI's brother, in the same event. Jake managed to beat Deji in that fight, winning by technical knockout in the 5th round. Putting his reputation and safety on the line in that fight and coming out on top was pretty impressive. And Jake realized he enjoyed the rush of victory enough to risk it all again. That was an amateur boxing match, but for his next fight, Jake would be going pro. This meant different gear, different style, different round length, and more risk of a knockout. Jake was set to face up against another YouTuber boxer, Anisan Gibb. Side note, Jake also got married in 2019. In July of that year, Jake Paul and Tana Mojo tied the knot on possibly the only pay-per-view wedding ever in history. To watch the live stream, you had to pay an eye-watering $50. Okay, back to boxing. Jake's opponent, Gib, had 2 successful amateur matches behind him and was being trained by Vidal Riley, an undefeated up-and-coming pro boxer. Everyone suspected that this was going to be a tough fight for Jake, but this was not the case. Just over 2 minutes into the first round of the fight, Jake defeated Gib by technical knockout. Jake's boxing display was impressive, and his personality was still just as obnoxious, making him the perfect magnet for fight opportunities. Jake caught the attention of other YouTubers and celebrities as potential opponents, and eventually settled on Nate Robinson, a basketball player. The two were to fight on the undercard of Tyson Fury versus Roy Jones Jr. Just a minute and a half into the second round, Jake Paul managed to knock out Robinson, showing the world that his defeat of Gib hadn't just been a fluke. Jake had breached the borders of the YouTube space and had broken into the mainstream. Now, pretty much everyone with an internet connection was wondering, who is finally gonna knock this guy out? Spoiler alert, not this next guy either. Another side note, in 2020, Jake released his song Fresh Outta London, which was actually a little better. A big step up from the teacher disses a couple of years prior. Or it got more likes, at least. Back to boxing. Jake called out many MMA fighters, including Connor McGregor, during this time. But his next fight ended up being with Ben Askren. Yes, Ben Askren, retired MMA fighter and acclaimed wrestler, was going to be Jake's next opponent. Ben was, at one point, the Bellator welterweight champion, before transitioning into the UFC, another mixed martial arts competition. This guy was tough, durable, and proven to be dangerous. Jake Paul was going to have to up his game. In the lead-up to the fight, the two had very different attitudes. Jake was pumped up and aggressive, whereas Ben was laid back and secure. There's a notable point during one of the press conferences when Jake is replaying an embarrassing knockout that happened to Ben when he got kneed in the head and knocked out right at the start of a fight, technically known as anesthesia. You like that? Ben stayed relaxed during this humiliating display, showing his confidence and self-control. His more mature attitude gave the boxing community a lot of faith in Ben. But, as it turned out, he didn't school the less experienced Jake. Instead, Ben got TKO'd in the first round, which was not the strategy the world was expecting from him. There's a lot of speculation in the YouTube community that the fight was faked, as Ben went down so quickly. But if you watch the fight back, Ben goes down hard. Really hard. Personally, I don't think it's fake, but I do think Ben didn't take the whole thing that seriously, considering how he looked more like a 1920s parody of a boxer than the real deal. Either way, Jake got another win under his belt, making his professional boxing record 3-0, which is very impressive. Through the fight, Jake made over $690,000, but also lost UFC president Dana White $1 million. Before the fight, Dana announced that he was going to bet $1 million that Ben Askren would win.
I'll bet $1 million.
Although Dana can easily afford to lose a bit of cash, it still probably stung to see Ben go down so early, knowing he was now $1 million poorer. Okay, I think that's the story so far. So what's next for Jake? Well, August 28th, he's got his next boxing match lined up with 39-year-old mixed martial artist Tyron Woodley. And it will be interesting to see if Tyron puts on more of a show than Ben. After that, who knows? Perhaps a fight with Floyd Mayweather is on the cards? They did have a little scuffle before the Logan Paul fight when Jake stole his hat. But whatever Jake chooses to do, two things are certain. It will annoy a lot of people and make him a ton of money in the process.